I remember how to do this.
It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, we're here.
Again.
How about that?
Wow.
Welcome to Dart Talk. We've been off for a little bit. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and I believe they have a new logo, which I didn't have time before the show to. Looks a lot different. Anyway, thanks, everybody. We've been away for a while, so we've got a lot to get to, a lot happening across the pond there.
Seem to have a little bit of a delay.
PDC stuff. See if it's a delay for the listeners. I don't know what's going on our side. It looks like the audio is okay, but the video looks choppy.
Yeah.
So, can't do anything about it now. Show must go on. How you doing?
I'm all right.
How you been?
Good.
How's the Tuesday night bar league?
It's over for me.
Over what happened?
We have a bye next week, and then the following week I have a board meeting, so I'm done for the year.
Well, what about the playoffs? Weren't you the ringer they brought in?
Playoffs? Playoffs? Who's talking about playoffs?
No playoffs for you? Oh, dear.
No,
Well, good.
We've decided to rename our team the Colt 45s. We lose 4-5 every week.
Oh, that used to make the playoffs.
Well,
Throw in an occasional wipeout.
A 3-6 there, and yeah.
Well, that's, that's too bad.
It was actually, it started getting better. The last few weeks I started throwing better, and I won a couple of singles matches finally. Hadn't won a couple.
It sounded like you were starting to play better.
My mic is not on. How about now?
Wow, it has been a long time.
Why did you shut my mic off?
I don't believe I did. I think that's from whenever.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Whoops.
So no one
All
could
right.
hear your what you were saying. That's awesome.
So anyway, all right. Well, back to that. Yeah. So darts is over for me. Bye week next week, and then I have a board meeting the following week. But we didn't make the playoffs. But it started getting better. I was mainly because I had more board time. I was able to practice a little bit, and then yesterday I couldn't hit a double to save my life. 501, I was well ahead of the guy, and I must have missed 20 darts at doubles and lost both matches. And then I played a little better and this and that, and then I get to the very last 501 doubles, and I just realized that I was actually trying too hard. And I just said, you know what, just don't care. And then next thing you know, I open up with a ton 40, throw an 85, throw a ton, and we're up 300 points on them. And
Did you hit the double?
finally, double
Okay.
two.
Well,
I
that's
got
good.
left to double two.
Oh, nice leave.
Yeah.
Thanks, partner. Yeah, I have said this I don't know how many times. It isn't that you're missing doubles. It's just that you're missing.
Right.
And the notion somehow that and with pros and stuff, they're so locked in on the triple 20 that when they have to go somewhere else, it's not always surprising that they miss, but they work on this stuff. For an a league player, for the most part, you're not missing doubles, you're just missing, and the average distance that you're missing is probably the same throwing at double 16 as it is for you throwing at the triple 20.
Sure. Right.
And maybe because Americans play so much cricket, you're a little closer on the triples, but I
Yeah.
look at people missing left and right, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way they're going to hit a double.
It was weird though that in the weeks prior when I would have a chance to practice on Monday night, whatever, and then Tuesday before I'm going to league, I get to throw, and I built some confidence because it felt good. Yesterday, before I left for league, I was like, ooh, it just didn't feel good, and it felt like a struggle during practice. And I was still able to hit some things and this and that. And then I get to the bar we're playing at, and it was just like,
Which was a dive.
oh yeah, whew. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if
that's
I ever want to step
yeah,
foot in that place again.
I mean, I'll tell you, I just I remember the first time I walked into a relatively popular dart bar in Chicago, and I was like, man, what a dive. And there's like 30 people there, and I'm like, well, they don't seem to mind. I guess I
Right.
shouldn't mind.
Yeah.
But I was sort of like, you want to hang out here for how long? Like, seriously?
Well, yeah. I mean, the dartboard is right by the front door, so everybody going out to smoke has to walk by you. There was some guy that just starts yelling at I'm assuming his girlfriend. So you're trying to throw darts, and this guy's just screaming at the top of his lungs. She leaves, and then he's screaming at his friend or another patron. I don't even know if they knew each other about all the problems that are going on, and we're
and the league will complain if you wear headphones.
Yeah, it was at one point one of my teammates after he threw a 5 and a 1 and a 1 while this guy was yelling, just said, "Would you shut up?" And I mean, it was
Did he?
warranted. Yeah, well, then they left for about 2 hours, and they came back, and we were like, "Oh, great, he's back."
Well, at least he left
But
for
it-
2
yeah.
hours.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's, stories like that, I don't regret not playing in the bar league. Love of my life is playing in the singles league, and the first thing that happens is the minute they publish the schedule, somebody drops out, then they have to have a new schedule, and then somebody can't make it, and, it's all these emails and texts and phone calls to try to, set up a match, and I'm like, why don't you just call a friend of yours and say, let's go throw for a few hours.
Right.
And just be done with it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that. I'm back to just like going to the board, throwing a ton 80, and then leaving it in there for a day or two, and then
Then try
going
and do it
back
again.
and doing the same thing. Well, the new darts the old darts that I went back to feel more and more comfortable every time I pick them up. I don't have to play till May, so I'm in good shape there. All right, let's get to some news. What
Well,
was the 1st thing?
let's run a
you want to
disclaimer
disclaim?
first. Yeah.
Okay.
We were called out on it in the chat that we didn't run the disclaimer.
Oh, my
so.
gosh.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
And, of course, we wish you well with that. First things first.
Okay.
The CDC,
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to their website. No, I didn't. No, this was on their Facebook page. See, I was actually on Facebook. It didn't break out in hives.
Right.
But in my defense, I was only on there for about, 11 minutes. They announced, and you can
give them a chance to form hives.
I kind of resent the fact that I have to go on Facebook now for everything. I just think it's dumb. But they announced the first weekend of the CDC. There's 4 dates, and already I looked at them just briefly, and I was irritated because the original concept of the CDC was it was going to kind of be between the Appalachians and the Rockies, but then they scheduled one in Philly.
All right.
And I'm like, well, okay, unless Philly moved, it's east
might
of the
have.
Appalachians. Which, okay, going to Philadelphia in May, I have to look at the schedule. If the Cubs are playing the Phillies, that might be cool. But I was kind of like, seriously? Oh, wait, no. May is Lexington.
Do you actually want to go see the Phillies play?
No, I want to see the Cubs play the Phillies. Yeah. We're not talking baseball. I know the background is spring training. It was snowing in Chicago yesterday.
Yeah.
And then, they're people posting pics of baseball, guys stretching in shorts. And I'm like, well, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Kind of nice in Arizona.
So you'd be more interested that you go to Philly if you could actually get in a baseball game. Otherwise,
Well, I
you
think
won't
it'd
go.
be. It isn't that I won't go. It's that I'm a little irritated that it's so far away, because the original concept was it was going to be, you could drive to these things, and the idea was to have lower costs for the players.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's a bunch of players in Philly that want to join this thing, then it's fair to have one in Philly. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that, except that one of the problems, and this goes to all of them. It goes to the PDC, the BDO, to Dartslive. Every year they change something. And it's like, I can understand you changing something if there's a reason and you have metrics or you have some sort of peripheral analysis that says this is a good way to do things. But if you do something new and then immediately you're going to change, and then the next year you're going to change, and the next year you're going to change, I don't see that, A, either your plan is good, or B, that you have any sort of gumption and faith in what you think you should be doing, right? So another example is Dartslive. Dartslive is going back to having their grand final. Great. I'm all for it. Good. Glad to have it. They announced 5 dates for the Dartslive the World. The first one is in May in Vegas, and then the rest of them are scattered about. I didn't really look to see. You guys can go look and see if you're interested in that. But I was like, okay, why'd you get rid of the grand final, and why are you bringing it back? See, I never really get good explanations on stuff like this. You know what I mean? And so it just makes me wonder. I thought it was a huge mistake to get rid of the grand final. Money.
Was it all that's what I was going to say.
I don't know.
Monetary?
I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was. I never really saw an adequate explanation, and I don't really see an adequate explanation on why they're bringing the grand final back, although I think it's a good idea. Same thing with the CDC. Okay, now you've changed your geographic plan. Your business plan is now changed.
Right.
Because you want to include people in Philly. Okay, fine. Was your business plan wrong to begin with? Are you wrong to go off of your original plan and say, hey, we'd love to have you, but this is what we're doing. You're perfectly welcome to come.
What's wrong with, after a year, making a few adjustments and, they're trying to get more people involved?
Well, a few adjustments is one thing. But like literally saying, okay, geographically we are now changing the map, and now we're going to have something in Philly. That's a huge
Well, where are the
change.
other 3?
In the Midwest. There's one in Lexington, there's one in Michigan, and there's one in, I don't know, probably Indianapolis or something.
Okay.
I didn't really care to look. I was just sort of like, Philly, really? And I kind of knew, and I think we had James Kinney on like at the end of the year, and he was saying, that there'd be a change. One of the venues would change. Okay, fine. It was St. Louis, Michigan, Indianapolis, and Dayton last year. Well, okay, fine. It turned out, I got hurt and couldn't go anyway, but, I'm healthy now. And now I'm like, now I gotta go to Philly? It's kind of a bummer. Wasn't really delighted to see that, but anyway, it's good that they're having it. Listeners that are interested, you can go to the Championship Dart Circuit Facebook page. They got a flyer up there with the dates and locations and stuff. Start making your reservations or, what have you, whatever it needs. They said something about emails going out to card holders soon.
Oh, okay.
So if you haven't gotten an email yet, I don't think you need to panic just yet. I guess I could give everyone Pete Cetera's cell number on the show.
Oh, yeah.
You could all
Sure,
just call him
that.
in the middle of the night, but, it's not like I would ever do that to anybody. Okay, let's take a break. Where are we on the list? Do you got the list there? Check the chat real quick. Make sure they can actually hear us.
Yeah, they say everything's fine now that my mic is on.
Okay. All right, well, good tip. Have your mic on.
Surprised they just didn't let me go the whole show without it. Wouldn't that have been
They probably
funny?
want to hear you more than they want to hear me, so I can't blame them for that.
Yeah.
Okay, how much time we got? Where are
we
we
got
on
a couple
time?
minutes, actually.
All right, well, what's the thing? We'll start with some PDC stuff. There were a couple of interesting things. What's the first one? Read that thing.
The Professional Darts.
Yeah, the
Corporation?
long thing, the announcement, because we've been gone for a month,
Yeah.
so we got to catch up.
Well,
but
they're
this was significant.
They're breaking new ground in 2016 by staging its first tournament live on the BBC Sports. Is that network, I would assume?
I assume that's a channel.
Following an exciting new deal to introduce the Champions League of Darts to the circuit in September. So they're going to live broadcast what is it, an 8-player tournament
It's an 8-player tournament. They're going to have round robin and then knockout after
towards
that.
the end of September.
Yeah, but it's going to be on the BBC, which my understanding is this is terrestrial TV, kind of like having it on Channel 7 or Channel 9 or Channel 11, as opposed to on a pay cable station.
Right.
So it's big in the sense that they would do that for the BDO, but they've never done that for the PDC. I never got an adequate explanation on that. Could have just been like legacy feelings or contracts or what have you. But so they started a brand new tournament, and it's going to be on the BBC, and everyone in the PDC is excited about it as well they should be. And hopefully the BBC does stream stuff on their website sometimes, so hopefully they'll do that and we'll be able to see it because I like watching those guys play. I like watching the best players in the world play.
Right.
I think
that's
edifying.
they're going to the top 8 of the Order of Merit, right?
Of the PDC Order of Merit. So you'll get Anderson and Van Gerwen, and you'll get Taylor, and you'll get Adrian Lewis, and you'll get 4 other guys. James Wade, Michael Smith, Peter Wright. Basically the Premier League.
Yeah.
The UK Open's only £40,000 this weekend, so I'm not sure you're going to see a whole lot of movement in the PDC Order of Merit by September. You could, but the real mover and shaker is the World Championships, and those are over until December. Well, the money's not going to count till January, so
so
you're pretty certain who you're going to see.
Right.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Okay, we'll take a break. We're going to keep them quick tonight. We'll take our first break, and we will come back and talk Premier League?
Yeah.
Okay. You're listening to, what's our show name? Dart Talk?
Dart Talk.
Don't get confused by this, Steve. We'll be back in a minute.
What happened? You didn't say you were ready.
I'm ready.
Oh, well.
Bumper.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the second quarter of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official console distributor. I want to thank everybody for their
feels
patience.
like we did this show last week.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody for their patience. We kind of disappeared. We went dark without really any explanation. I'd be getting emails from people, hey, when's Dart Talk coming back? La-di-da-di-da. And I'd say next week, and basically turned out that we didn't come back every next week. I personally have a lot going on, but then we also started another project that took way more time than we thought it would. And I'm not ready to like share the new project with everybody just yet, but down the road,
still a work in progress.
Down the road, you may find out why we disappeared. Before we get to the Premier League, what are they saying in the chat?
Well,
Because I can't really see it from here, but I can tell I don't like it.
well, they're basically saying, well, what's the difference between Virginia Beach and Philly? And you've been to both, and basically calling you out on the fact that you're not happy with it's in Philly. But I think they're missing the point.
Well, okay,
You
here's the
stated that all four were supposed to be within driving distance, and now one of them's changed.
Yeah.
It's not that you wouldn't go to Philly ever, or you wouldn't go to Virginia Beach.
I have been to
For
Philly.
the particular CDC 4 events is what you're talking about.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, Jill and I make Virginia Beach a vacation every year. As a matter of fact, we're not going this year. It's the first time I've missed Virginia Beach in
Oh, no, that's too bad.
5 or 6 years. Oh, we like going down there. We like being on the beach. The weather doesn't always cooperate, but, we deal with it. And then if the weather is good, you just it's
fantastic.
icing on the cake. Yeah, we get the balcony and, we feed Pringles to the pigeons. I mean, we have a really good time going to Virginia Beach. But Jill takes vacation time, and we'll drive there and we'll break it up, and we'll go see something on the way. One year we went through D.C., because I'd never been there, and, we went to museums and saw the Capitol and everything, went to the White House and what have you. Going to Philly sometimes is the same thing, or Atlantic City, where you kind of make a week of it.
Right.
The weekend in Philly in whatever summer, we'll figure out something to do. But for the CDC, I had it in my mind that they were all going to be road trips,
Right.
like in the car road trips, and I'm like, okay, that's much easier to do than booking flights.
Oh, sure.
Right? I mean, you're talking about from Chicago to Philly's got to be what, 12 hours?
Yeah, probably.
Ever drive to Philly? It's a long
No,
way.
I drove to Penn State University, and it was
It's a little further than that. That's College Station or whatever.
College Station's in Texas, but
well, where's
whatever.
What town is
I can't remember now.
State College or
yeah,
something?
right.
So how long did that take?
From down south in Bloomington, it was 13 and a half hours.
Okay, yeah, it's going to
So-
be driving to Philly is going to be going to take a while,
Right. Well,
and then you have to
absolutely.
recover and go play, and then you have to drive.
Then you
back.
have to come back. Right.
So it's much easier to drive to tournaments than it is to fly.
Mhm.
Anybody who played and went to Vegas this year, right, and found out that, there was a snowstorm on the East Coast and their flights got all delayed and all this stuff, you have a lot more control when you're driving. When you're at the mercy of the airlines, you're at the mercy of the weather and stuff when you fly. Okay, summer shouldn't be a big issue.
Should be, you would hope.
I mean, there was a tsunami today. I mean, you never know these days, but
Phillies are away that weekend, apparently, so
so
much for that.
maybe
The
Washington
Cubs will not be there.
Nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure something out. But that was the charm of the CDC was that it was going to be basically a Midwestern thing. There's already enough stuff for people to drive to if you live in the tri-state area.
Mm-hmm.
You can drive to all sorts of stuff. For Midwestern people, there's very little to drive to, and some of the stuff that we were able to drive to over the years has kind of disappeared. Like I used to go to Michigan four times a year.
Right.
That stuff all went away. There used to be 2 5-figure tournaments in Grand Rapids. Those went away. So, the CDC, to replace those, was like, oh, great, awesome, this is perfect for me.
Right.
Philadelphia is not perfect for me. Anybody who drives from Philly to Chicago that used to play in the Windy City Open, which would be like basically zero because everybody would fly, it's a long drive.
Sure.
Now I got to fly into Philly, and I don't know where the venue is, so
Well, no, that's the thing. I think they were just missing the concept that
I'm
you
probably
brought
not a
up
call.
of
I'm probably
the
not a
CDC.
card holder anyway.
Well, the CDC changed their policies of what it was going to be.
And this is my point. It's like, were you successful? Do you need to make changes? If so, and that's just sort of like that's the pattern. Well, I'm not criticizing the CDC. What I'm saying is that all of these dart organizations from year to year seem to make all these changes. And I don't understand why. Either you didn't get it right or you're kind of chasing the dog's tail every year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, get it straight and then say, this is what we're doing. You're welcome to join.
Well, I mean,
What are you going to do now? You're going to have one in Dallas?
Well, the purpose of having them all centrally located was for not necessarily they weren't looking for players from Florida to come and New York to come, right? They were looking for.
Well, I don't know originally like how wide they cast the net as far as like inviting players and stuff like that, but Florida's like can't drive anywhere from Florida. You can. People complain that live in Florida driving to tournaments in Florida.
But
you know what I mean? It's probably the same thing with Texas.
What was their original aspect of having an all Midwest tournament, so to speak? That everybody could drive to.
Yeah, I think the idea was there's plenty of stuff on the East Coast for people. The West Coast, it's a mess because everybody's so spread out, you can't really get anything done. But there was an opportunity in the Midwest, especially the Mideast, kind of Ohio Valley, where there's a lot of dart players, that you could draw on those players and get enough people to have a relatively professional field, right? Well, did that work or not? I mean, I thought the idea was you were going to fill the field in with qualifiers, and you were going to have to drill down to each individual league in Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, right? And get those leagues to start giving you players, and that was your pool of players, and that was supposed to be enough. Now all of a sudden you're going to Philadelphia, which is 700 miles east of the easternmost venue you had. If you live in Ohio, it's an 8-hour drive and no one's going to complain. Right? If you live in St. Louis, what is it, an 18-hour drive?
Right.
Who's going to do that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of what my point was. For me, I'm in Chicago. Oh, I don't like this. You know, if you live in Youngstown, PA, it's like no problem.
It's fantastic.
You know, because now you're an 8-hour drive from Philly. I assume it's 8 hours from there. But you're also 8 hours to Dayton, or you're 8 hours to Indianapolis or whatever. So if you live there, now you're in good shape. That's all. But anybody who lives in Iowa or Missouri or Arkansas or Tennessee or Kentucky, driving's kind of out of the question.
Pretty much.
So you had one pool of players, and now you're going to be like, forget about it. Now we're going to go after this pool of players. Make up your mind. What are you doing here? I understand it's like just the second year, but if your business plan isn't stable enough for you to follow it, then you need a new business plan. And then fine, okay, if it's a new business plan, let's do it. Let's have one in Virginia. Plenty of dart players there. Why don't you have the whole thing on the East Coast now? No, well, I just want to know what's going on.
Right.
I mean, because concepts matter. You know, business plans matter. If you have a 5-year plan, you stick to it. If the first year is like a little bit below your expectations, okay. You need to do simple better, right? Okay, we didn't do this. We didn't do this. You don't like all of a sudden shift the whole thing in the second year.
It's not a 5-year plan anymore.
Well,
if
yeah.
you change it like that.
So, I don't know. That's where I'm at with that. I don't even know if I'm a card holder, so it may not. For me, it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying conceptually, this is how I look at dart organizations. The leagues, like with their individual tournaments, are absolutely the other end of the spectrum. They won't change anything, right? Let's still have 11 events this weekend.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, great. You know, oh, no, you can't make us play 3 out of 5 and seed it too. No. No, we don't want any BDO sanctioning. No, we want to do it our way. It's like, okay, fine. Do it your way. See if I show up.
Jeff's driving to Philly.
Well, pick me up.
He's talking road trip.
Pick me up, buddy. Pick me up. All right, let's move on to the Premier League. Record-setting Premier League last weekend.
Yes, apparently.
Van Gerwen shattered Phil Taylor's scoring record with a 123 plus average
What was
against, I
Phil-
believe,
Phil
Michael
was-
Smith.
What was 118
and
something?
change.
Yeah.
And I guess had Van Gerwen not blown a double, his average would have actually been over 130, which is awfully good. And we should mention he beat a guy
7-1. Hold on, 7-1 victory. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes to
To
play
play-
8 legs. Most players can't even get to the board in 10 minutes.
Oh my God! It takes forever. 10 minutes.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Blink of an eye. Awesome. Just awesome. And we've been saying on this show now, at least for a year and a half, that the standard is raising to the point now where you need to average closer to a 12 than you
Right.
do to a 15.
Right. Well, and MVG beat Michael Smith, who a couple weeks ago averaged 132 something.
In a UK qualifier.
Yeah. What did he throw? 12, 11, 11, 11, 12, and 11?
So he had 2 12s and the rest were 11s.
4 11s.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty high standard. But that's kind of, I am not that surprised by that. I mean, that's 132 is kind of absurd. But if he would have went like 11 11, 12 12, 13 13, I'm thinking, and that was at 6 legs,
Yeah.
that's closer to the standard that you're going to need to win than it used to be. You could just throw 16, 13, 13, 16,
Throw an
17,
11 in there when you needed it.
11, and end up like right around 100. 100 literally isn't doing it
Right.
anymore. And I know we talked about the segment sizes on the unicorn boards. That was like about a month
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
ago.
I do
Somebody
remember that.
actually posted something that on YouTube, like putting the sizes next to each other. Fine, okay. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Well,
If people want to see ton 80s, people want to see high scoring, people want to see high averages, so fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with it. I'm sure in bowling at one point when they put the weight inside the ball and scores went up, people didn't freak out. I mean, they didn't
Well,
make
no,
the pins bigger, but
They lowered the mound in baseball.
well,
and,
you tinker. Yeah, I mean, you tinker with core rules at your peril, but
Yeah.
this is increased scoring never hurt anybody.
Right.
Right? People want to see scores. I mean, they don't do it in soccer. I mean, that's part of the reason soccer is not popular in America is you sit there for an hour and you cheer for a near goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you end up like some loose ball and gets kicked in and somebody jumps up. And the only highlight in America is listening to the guy on Univision go, goal!
Goal!
That's the highlight. And
Yeah.
ESPN has been trying to push soccer on everybody. They signed a big money contract to show like Premier League matches and stuff like that. And they're showing way more soccer in
it's all
America
over the
now.
place. More and more people.
I don't
talk
know how
about
many
it now.
people are watching it. I think people that like Europeans who live in America are watching it,
Oh,
but
sure.
I don't think like how much soccer do you watch?
I watch the World Cup every 4 years.
The World Cup I watch. I have been watching the World
Yeah.
Cup since the 80s. I think that is like the best tournament
yeah,
to watch that you could
fantastic.
ever see. But regular soccer,
No,
I don't
I
even
don't-
know. UEFA, Premier League,
FIFA,
La
blah, blah,
Liga,
blah,
whatever. I don't know. Hey, that guy's pretty good. Check out the goal. Just sort
No,
of
I
like,
don't. Right. I agree with you. Yeah, I don't.
and
know.
I played soccer. I
So
mean,
did I.
I appreciate the game for what it is, but I'm not going to sit there and watch it. Baseball, on the other hand, a little different. Little bit different. Kind of like you cricket watchers. Where is it? Is Aaron in the chat room? Okay, let's move on to the Premier League. Update us on who's doing what.
All
Because
right.
with the last show we did, the Premier League hadn't
Just
even started.
So now it's after 4 weeks.
In which, let me think if I remember now. Gary Anderson was sick 1 week. Who's sick the first week? Like we gave our previews, and then the matches were all different because
Right.
somebody sicked out. Who's sicked out?
Well, there's
It's a +1 there.
Thornton,
Okay, so Thornton
minus
sicked out.
one.
No, who are the +1s?
Bully Boy, and James Wade.
Are the +1s?
Yeah, they each have an extra.
So who are the -1s?
Uh,
Anderson and Thornton?
Anderson and Thornton.
All right, so Thornton sicked out the first week, and then Anderson sicked out the second week.
Right.
Okay, so what's the table look like?
Bully Boy is got 1 point. Thornton's got 1 point. Gary Anderson's got 2. Chizzy's got 3. Wade's got 4. Wade also has 1
extra match
in the books. RVB's got 4. Phil Taylor's got 6 points. Adrian Lewis has 6 points, and MVG has 6 points. The top 4 of all,
you missed the top guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Wright has 7.
I'm so proud of you because the notes there just says 80, and
Yeah.
you knew it was Adrian Lewis. Good job, man. You're really catching on.
I know.
I like that. Okay, so Wright's at the top.
Peter Wright's leading, though.
Three-way tie for second place. Van Barneveld's a match behind.
The top 5 guys have all their matches played. 4 out of the bottom. Well, it doesn't look good for Wade or Bully Boy, who are plus one match ahead.
The top 4 guys have 6 and 7, and
Right.
Van Barneveld is 5th with 4.
Right, but they've all played all their matches.
They've all played
They don't
the
have
normal
any
number of
extras.
matches.
Yeah, the normal number.
The guys with the extra matches are the guys that are hosed.
Yeah.
Wade
and
and
Michael Smith.
And Michael Smith. Michael Smith is not getting it done. His first year, I was glad they put him in there, but you want to see, Chizzy's first year, he did pretty well. Bully Boy, too much too soon. Needed a little more seasoning, maybe. All right, let's run down tomorrow's matches for the Premier League, and then we'll take a break. Silence.
Wait for it.
it.
All right, Phil Taylor against Adrian Lewis.
Taylor and Lewis tied. They both tied at 6. Who you like?
Well, I guess I'd go with Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because the UK Open starts on Friday, so it's kind of an interesting little warm up for some of these guys. We'll go through the first and second round matches. I don't know who's playing when, but I'll stay with Taylor there.
Chizzy against Wade.
Yeah, I have no confidence in James Wade.
Right, yeah.
He's the Cincinnati Bengals, and I have no idea what he'll do on any given night. So.
Okay. Thornton against Anderson.
Yeah, I don't see how Robert Thornton can match Anderson. I just don't see it.
Well, yeah, Anderson, even though he's got 1 match to make up, but he's got to make up some points.
He's the reigning world champion. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah. Van Gerwen gets to play Peter Wright.
Well, there you go. Wright's
Wright
record
obviously
against him is
well.
bad. Yeah, he has been playing well, but Wright's record against Van Gerwen is bad. And he tried to get in his head a couple of years ago. That didn't work. I mean, Van Gerwen, shell-shocked Smith last week. And with a big tournament coming up, I think Van Gerwen's rounding into form. I mean, maybe Wright can get a draw at best, but I'd go heavy Van Gerwen. Yeah. Oh yeah,
I agree with you. Michael Smith against Van Barneveld for your last match.
Yeah, I mean Barney's gonna be in desperate straits. I mean he's already a match down. He can't afford another loss to the guy that's at the bottom.
Right.
Smith's a good player though. I mean it's not like you could just show up and beat him. I mean I'm sure Van Barneveld will be favored. Be interesting to watch. I don't know why that match is on last. I don't think that's the most compelling match.
Is that the order? The order they're listed is how they're going. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Interesting. I think the Taylor Adrian Lewis match is probably going to be the closest.
Best of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see some wipeouts. Chizzy and Wade would be a good leadoff match. I think. Get everybody started.
Right.
With, Chizzy raining ton 80s on Wade.
I don't
know what to make of Wade anymore. So. He's changed. He's not the player. He's not the same type of player he was like when I first started watching him and he was playing so well, winning majors and stuff like that. He's different. All right, we're going to take another break. We'll come back. We'll talk UK Open. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark Steve P. Back in a second.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
The DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. We had to update software that we use to stream the show, and it's acting in a very peculiar manner with which we're not familiar.
Right.
So hopefully you guys on the end can see what we're doing and hear what we're doing. The assumption on our part is that everything is fine. So hopefully that's the case. So we saw some other stuff in the chat, but we pretty much stand by what we said. Our point was that you're changing the paradigm, and I don't see why.
Right.
Right. Okay. Not a big. Who cares what I think anyway? Just some radio guy. I'm just an internet podcaster.
You're a podcaster.
Who listens to them? UK Open is an interesting tournament and a bit of an anomaly as far as most of the tournaments that we cover. They don't go by the PDC order of merit. BDO players are welcome. Anybody's welcome. There's a chain of dart bars in England that run qualifiers. So pretty much if you're a county player or you're just somebody who wants to get into it and think you can play, you can show up and plunk down your pounds. And if you win enough matches, you get in the field. It's a long-running tournament. It's also a tournament that visually is very strange if you watch it on television, because they'll have a bunch of matches going on at the same time, which is not the way the PDC does things. Mm-hmm. PDC will have their floor play off camera, but then everything on stage, it's one match at a time. The UK Open will have all these different boards up, like 8 different stages. And people will be watching this board, that board, people in the middle milling around. It's actually kind of cool looking. I don't watch it every year. I might watch it this year. But it's interesting to me the way they run it, almost like the way the United States Golf Association runs the U.S. Open.
Okay, right.
Right, where if your handicap is low enough,
and you
can qualify.
Right.
You could try to qualify. You play your regional qualifier,
mm-hmm.
I think, and then if you do good enough to get in the sectional, you'll get a sectional qualifier, and maybe 30 touring pros, and you're playing against them, and it's for 10 spots.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird how they allocate it, and sometimes you're qualifying the Monday before the U.S. Open. I mean, it's actually pretty cool that democratically everybody can get a whack. That's one of the things I fell in love with the PDC, because when they started having tournaments in America, I could enter them, even though I was nowhere near the kind of player that was flying over from England. I got a free crack at these guys. Well, not free. I mean, I paid my entry fee, but I got a whack to see where I stood. I think it's cool. And the UK Open does the same thing. You have to, even Phil Taylor has to play in a minimum number of qualifiers, and they look at how much you win in the qualifiers, and that's how it gets seeded and ranked and stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty cool system the way they do it. I don't know about all this random draw stuff they do, but anyway, it's starting on Friday, so let's look at the...
Alex Roy and Steve Maish are the ones you were talking about that qualified.
Yeah, did I already cover that on the show, or was that before?
That was before.
Well, okay.
You just mentioned the fact that
because I
qualify.
looked through the qualifiers, the people that qualified through the Rileys, through the bars.
Yeah.
Which were kind of the most open qualifiers, and I saw 2 names. Alex Roy was on there, and the first PDC tournament I ever went to in Vegas, he was, I think, the 32nd ranked player in the world. And I, talked to him for a while, and he seemed like a pretty good guy. And then Steve Maish, who at that same tournament, I believe, had a double bull to win the match. It bounced out, and he took the board off the wall after the match and flung it, which I thought was like, sounds like something I'd see in, a league match.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
I don't know,
so I always remembered his
seen
name.
That in a league match. But,
so they qualified, and
Yeah.
I was kind of like, well, good for them. Alex Roy, it's kind of funny. You look at some of these quotes. Somebody asked Barry Hearn, about coming over and playing on the PDC tour, and he was basically like, if you don't think you can make top 32, don't do it. If you don't think you could get in the top 32 like in 1 year, don't come over because you're going to lose. Lord knows how much money it costs to play that tour.
Right.
Even though you're thinking that, the travel isn't that bad. I mean, hotels are expensive, train rides are expensive, and then you're still flying Germany and Holland and, wherever else. So, okay, let's look at some of these matches. Just run them. Read them off slowly, and then if I see something worth commenting on,
Main stage first round: Mark Cox against Wes Newton, Ronnie Hybricks against Mark Rice, Dennis Smith against Alex Roy.
Dennis Smith against Alex Roy. Wow. Okay. Dennis Smith, when I first started playing, was like ranked 8th in the world. He does this mesmerizing little weird slow thing. Where's the camera? He used to do this weird thing before every dart.
Oh, that would be annoying.
It was mesmerizing, and I never thought he was sober doing it. It just looked really weird. And I remember asking, he was the one guy I went up to, and I was like, I think at the time I was a much more deliberate player. I've been playing like 3 or 4 years, and he basically, I asked him, guys give you a hard time about playing slow and stuff. He's like, don't worry about it. He's like, play at your speed and tell them all to take a walk.
Bugger off.
Well, I don't remember exactly what he said, but that was the gist of it.
Then you have Andy Smith against Jermaine Mina.
Okay.
Watamina. Then the second round of that particular main stage.
On the main stage. So now the second round are like first round winners against higher seeded players.
Right.
Okay.
Jeffrey DeGraff versus either William O'Connor or Mark Jodrill. Lee Evans versus Robbie John Rodriguez.
Roby,
sorry. Then you have Aaron Monk against either Stuart Rhett Ray.
I'm really enjoying you butcher these names. You're so much better than you were like the first time we
R-A-T-T-R-A-Y. What is that? It's Rhett Ray.
Rattay? Rattray?
There's another R. That's Rhett Ray.
Oh, okay.
It's not Rattay.
At least it's not Drumpf.
Or Monk would play either Rhett Ray or Thornton. Robert Thornton.
So Aaron Monk is looking like he might play Robert Thornton.
Robert Thornton.
Okay.
Kevin Painter versus John Scott or Dean Winstanley.
Ooh. Well, if Dean Winstanley gets through, that'd be a good match.
Then you go to stage 2. Andy Bolton versus Lee Grimshaw. William O'Connor versus Mark Jodrill. So wasn't that the guy that was in the other match?
I don't know.
So there's a Mark Jodrill. So
well, and was that a second round match?
yeah,
Okay.
no, it's the first round. So actually, that's what gets transferred up there.
Okay.
So Jason Mold against Magnus Karras, Mick McGowan versus Nathan Aspinall. Then you also have a second round match of the stage 2. Matt Clark against Mike DeDecker.
Matt Clark is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet playing darts.
Okay. Good to know. Joey Tenberge versus Mark Dunbridge.
I anticipate Joey Tenberge killing that guy. But
I've
that's
never
just
heard
me.
of Joey Tenberge.
I played him in the finals in Stanford one year.
Oh, really?
Got lost 5-0 and had literally my friends saying, "Why did you throw so bad? That was horrible." Thanks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Brendan,
Nice to have friends.
Brendan Dolan versus either Stephen Rose or Scott Marsh, and Darren Brown against Ryan Harrington or Glenn McGrandle.
Is that Rod Harrington or Ryan?
Ryan.
Huh.
What
wonder,
says
I wonder if
Ryan.
he's related. Okay.
Doesn't mean it's not a typo.
Yeah. Well, it's not my typo.
Stage 3 first round. Kevin Dowling versus Dick Van Dijk. Curtis Turner versus Jonathan Worsley. There's the Aaron Monk versus the Stephen Rattray match. Barry Lynn against Dean Stewart.
Maybe you should just do the second round ones. because we're kind of repeating, and
Well,
there's a
I
lot
know.
of them. Yeah, just do the
Because
second
there's-
round ones because then you get the first round ones in there.
All right.
See what I'm saying?
Well,
Okay.
I do now, but that's
Okay,
not how you
well-
drew it up earlier.
Hey, we'll be like the CDC. We'll adjust as we go along.
All right, so
Just kidding.
Stage 3, second round, Gary Stone versus either Johnny Haynes or Jamie Caven. Andy Brown or Mark Frost versus Mark Barilli or Darren Layden. Yordi,
Go for it.
Muewies versus Robbie Green. Jay Foreman versus either Hybrix or Mark Rice.
Okay.
Stage 4, Wayne Jones, Andy Jenkins. Chris Paul or Paul Milford against
Wayne Jones against Andy Jenkins. When was the last time you said the words Andy Jenkins?
It's been a while.
He's another guy that turned into Deadwood and dropped off the map. Good to see him back. I hope that you can, I would like to see some of these guys play again just to see where they're at. Andy Jenkins was a heck of a guy. He used to come to Chicago every year. Andy Jenkins was the guy that said to me, why are you guys running around to all these little tournaments? Why don't you just save up your money and go to the big ones? Good thought.
Yeah. Where did I leave off? Chris Jones, Paul Milford versus the winner of that versus the Jason Heaver, Steve Maish match. Harry Ward, Alan Taburn versus
Alan Taburn, the Saint.
the Saint.
Yeah.
Okay. The winner of that against Josh Payne or Dave Parletti. And then Darren Webster gets to play either Lee Morris or Scott Dale.
Okay.
Stage 5. See, there's still somewhere missing, but anyway.
Well,
Richie Corner versus Barry Van Peer. Dennis Smith or Alex Roy against Jeffrey Deswan. Barry Lynn or Dean Stewart versus Brett Clayton. John Decker, Andrew Davidson winner plays Cristo Reyes.
Jan Decker.
Jan. What did I say? John.
You said John.
John.
It's okay.
Stage 6, Les Delderfield or Mark Wilson takes on Matthew Edgar. David Pallett against Jason Marriott. Ian McFarlane or Johnny Clayton versus James Wilson. Mark Cox, Wes Newton winner versus Ken McNeil, Rob Cross. That's interesting.
Ken McNeil. Okay. Canadian. Yay.
Yay.
Canada. Is that it?
No.
I just had the weirdest random thought pop into my head. Go ahead.
Stage 7, Paul Whitworth or Joe Mernon will face Richie Edhouse. Michael McFall against Dirk Van Dweezvenbode. That winner plays Peter Hudson. Andy Smith or Jermaine Wadamina will play the winner of the Kevin Dowling Dick Van Dijik.
It looks like Dick. It might be Dick Van Dyke. Swear to God. I know it's spelled funny.
Yeah, D-I-J-K.
Yeah.
Dijik.
Dyke.
Dick Van Dijik. Dick Van Dyke is reborn. Jason Mold, Magnus Karras match will play against the Ben Green Jason Hogg winner. And then your stage 8 and your final stage, Curtis Turner or Jonathan Worsley will play Andy Bolton, Lee Grimshaw winner. Andrew Gilding will play either Ryan DeVerde or Nathan Deary. Daniel Day, Paul Hogan winner will play Tony Newell, and Mike McGowan, Nathan Aspinall winner will play Stuart Kellett.
That's Mick McGowan, I think. But okay, good job.
What did I say, Nick?
You said Mike.
Oh, Mike. All right.
Yeah,
It
it's
is Mick.
close.
It
It's
is
some of the
Mick.
same letters in there.
Yeah.
So I had this random thought. Where are we on time?
Well, we got 5 minutes till the show's over.
5 minutes till the show's over. So, we were talking. I don't do politics. I
just watch
avoid.
it
I
constantly
avoid it.
every day.
Well, I have no choice about that. I avoid most politics. But you're reading off all these names, and I'm spacing out because most of these names are unfamiliar to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I wish everybody well, and I'm sure it'll be a great tournament. But I started thinking, there's I don't know how many people running for president. Somebody dropped out today, so I think there's still 7. 2 Democrats and 5 Republicans. That's 7, right? And I'm thinking,
In basic math, it is.
which one of these candidates would I want as a partner in a blind draw? Right, and I'm thinking,
That's an interesting
well,
thought.
if I had this guy, would I throw my darts on the floor? Because he comes off personally as being like really yucky.
Yeah.
What? We're not going to do politics. I just think this is kind of funny. Is there a presidential candidate that you would want as a doubles partner in a blind draw? No handicap, straight up. You might have to kind of tell them, okay, you got to throw it this, throw it that.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Is there anybody that of the 7 candidates that you'd be like, yeah, I'd be fine with that, or would you be fine with all of them, or would you be fine with none of them?
Well, I wouldn't be fine with all of them.
Okay. Well, who would you most want to have as your doubles partner in a blind draw?
Just to play darts, not to have
Just
a
to play
conversation.
darts, not to talk about the deficit or,
or what their
whatever building,
future
whatever.
plan is.
Yeah. Just somebody to like be your partner in a blind draw.
have
You may
fun
have to.
with?
Well, you may have to.
I'd
if you
probably
win,
go-
you
I'd-
might have to hang out with them for a while.
Yeah, I'd probably
right?
go with Rubio
Really.
just to hang out.
What is it that makes you
I don't know,
think that he'd be fun to hang out with? I'm just
He's
curious.
energetic, and he just seems like he can talk, have a conversation, and be fun.
Okay.
I don't need any nasty people. Bernie Sanders is too old. I don't know about playing darts with him.
He might not make it into the third
Yeah.
round. He looks like he might. He seems energetic, but I mean,
I
he
I
might
like
fall
Bernie
asleep
Sanders,
on you.
but from a darts perspective, I don't know if I'd
This
want
is
him.
strictly darts.
Right.
This is not like where they stand on issues because
No.
who cares, right? I mean,
Hillary Clinton wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't think
I've seen her do a
Throwing-
shot in a beer on TV, but
throwing
I don't know
darts
if
with
she
her
swallowed it.
would probably be kind of fun.
with Hillary, you
Yeah.
think?
I could see that.
I don't know. Is there anybody you definitely would not want as your partner?
Yeah, Drumpf.
Drumpf?
Yeah. Who wants Drumpf?
I mean, would he diss you if you missed? Like, if you blew the
Oh,
diddle,
well,
would he
I
call
just-
you a
I think
loser? I mean,
well, not only that, he'd be yelling at the other team and whoever you're playing against.
well, but he wants to win, right? He's all about winning.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that is true, but
I
but
think
he's
I
gonna
would.
sue you to win.
Well,
You know.
for the Democrats, I think I'd rather have Hillary than Bernie
I would
because
too.
I think I'd have more fun with her. Bernie seems like really serious and kind of really intense, and it's a blind draw. I like to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'd have more laughs with Hillary.
I would agree with that.
On the Republican side, I think the only guy that strikes me as being like personable enough is Kasich. He seems like he'd be like, oh yeah, sure, oh okay, oh wow, good try.
Well, I guess.
You know what I
yeah,
mean? I
sure.
mean, it seems to me like he would
Well.
kind of get it that it's like not that big a deal.
Right.
Like some of these guys might turn it into a political debate, might argue about, whether you pulled your dart out when the other guy diddled. You know how?
Yeah.
Because there's a rule. You know how it is.
You're
You're lazy.
standing
There's
over the-
two in the single bowl. Just throw another one in there. Okay,
Right.
fine. I'll throw one in there too. Whatever. Who cares?
You're
It's a blind draw.
You're over the Aki.
Right. I'm gonna take a video with my phone that you're like an eighth of an inch over the
Right.
line. Therefore, that didn't count. I don't want that guy as my partner.
No.
But Kasich strikes me as he wouldn't be that way. So, it was just a random thought when you're reading off all these names. I just thought it'd be kind of an
It was
amusing
kind
thing.
of a funny thought, I thought.
I don't know. We will find out the future of Dart Talk, whether we're still going to be a weekly show. As of now, we'll say yes, but we will post something. I will
Just
make
sure
an
I
effort.
get the memo.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about it. I will make an effort to communicate it better because people are listening all over the place. Like I posted it in the chat room on the show, but some people just get it off of YouTube.
Okay.
And then some people are just downloading it off iTunes. So I'm getting emails, I'm getting people on Twitter and stuff. So I will try to communicate it to everyone once we figure out exactly how often
What's
we're going to be
going on?
doing the show, and then we'll stick to it. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for hanging in. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Don't forget, we're on Stitcher.com. We're on TuneIn.com. We have a website, Dart Talk US. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We have our own channel, Dart Talk US. All the old shows are there. And you can email the show, darttalk@gmail.com, with your concerns and everything. Everybody's welcome to be a guest. If you want to take issue with anything we've said, I understand. Just opinion. Don't take it personal. Right?
Right.
I don't think we said anything all that controversial
No.
anyway.
I don't think so.
All right. Thanks,
Not
everybody,
today.
for listening. Not today, anyway. And we'll Dart talk to everybody next week. Safe travels.